Hi everyone, welcome back to the Shelves Have Eyes. I'm Phantom, and today we'll be unboxing Transformers Studio Series 86 Thundercracker. This is the brand new Seeker mold that they have come up with. The previous Studio Series 86 Coronation Starscream used a variation of the Earthrise mold for Starscream himself, and in the meantime, Hasbro and Takara Tomy have come up with this brand new mold for all of the Seekers that more closely approximates what they looked like in the G1 cartoon and movie, meaning they are a little bit more on model, particularly in terms of leg kibble and detailing. So looking at the box, we have everything that you would expect to see. Got a nice image of Thundercracker on the side, which is a wraparound with the destruction of the Autobot shuttle here. A bigger image of the destruction of the Autobot shuttle. And up here we have a still from the movie where the damaged or destroyed Decepticons inside Astro Train following the Battle of Autobot City are going, nay! Particularly Thundercracker, because Thundercracker is the foremost voice you hear in that nay. Right here, we've just got a close-up of the new generation box art. So let's take a look and see what this figure looks like inside. Get some extensive liner notes. The instructions for the figure, which says just about everything that you would expect it to say. It's your basic transformation info. And here we have the figure itself. Now, there are a remarkable amount of variations to Thundercracker's face. From this, which looks to be a Starscream mold because he is smiling with his mouth open, rather than the frown that Thundercracker usually sports. There are at least 6 variations of the face that I am aware of that have been making the rounds. This one, when I picked it up from Walmart, I really was not aware that there were variations, but this, I did end up getting the open-mouthed, what's called the Starscream face. So, your mileage may vary in terms of which Thundercracker you end up picking up. We do not have a definitive timeline for the release of a Skywarp or a Starscream version of this particular mold. As I said, this is a new tooling. It's a new mold for the Seekers. So we're going to assume that we'll be seeing the rest of the Seekers and probably the Coneheads all in this new mold style. Okay. So this is the figure out of the packaging. It looks very similar to the infamous Generations Seeker mold that was reused for over 10 years, I want to say. It shares many similarities with that particular mold. It is more complex, certainly. The arms are very blocky. There is a distinct lack of detailing in the nacelle area here that was not present in the Starscream version, the Coronation Starscream mold, meaning that because that particular mold was reused from Earthrise, it had propellers or turbines in its chest plate. Those are missing here. It overall is a much sleeker looking mold, if you'll pardon the pun. It does come with the rest of his pieces, which consist of his back wings and his null rays, or whatever these are on Thundercracker. I believe it was in the my second Blokies video, there was a big question of what these were. Whether Starscream had whether it was just Starscream that had null rays and Skywarp and Thundercracker had something different. I would have to go to the wiki and take a look and see if there's documentation about that. Here we have a couple of more pieces that... here they are. Go onto the tips of his wings. And so here he is fully constructed. He looks very nice. I confess that I'm less than thrilled with this particular mold for two reasons in robot mode. One is, if you look, his shoulders are further back than his head. That's a huge thing that really bothers me whenever I see it in a Transformer, because their proportions should not be like that. Also, his codpiece here seems to jut out a little further than is strictly necessary, meaning that you need to lock his knees backwards, so he almost is he's in hero pose all the time in order to make him stand straight. Minor things, really. I mean, I can get beyond all of that. His shoulders being further back than his neck really does bother me. That is something that really bothers me, actually. But let's take a look at the figure itself, and we'll see if maybe I can get over that. His head has a nice range of motion. It's on a ball joint. He does have light piping, even though his eyes are painted red here. He has the full range of motion you would expect in his extremities. The codpiece flaps open, so theoretically it could pop up to have him do kicks or to sit. I assume that would be for Coronation Starscream. I would assume that if they came out with a Starscream mold, he would once again be given his throne, which was just a reuse of the Nemesis throne. All told, he stands really nice. He's got an ankle tilt of a sort. As always with Seekers, the wings kind of get in the way. They're not on individual hinges here. They are just a solid piece. So you can't really move his arm all the way back because his rays would get in the way. You would have to go like this.
Butterfingers?
Oh, okay. His feet don't have a lot of posability in them. So his ankle tilts, but his toes don't go up and down. His toes go up as part of the transformation, but they don't go down. So he can't point his feet downwards. But all told, I mean, this range of articulation is what you'd expect from a Seeker mold, so I'm not disappointed in that. He's got a nice little hip swivel, but it can't move that far because of the kibble still present for his wings. All told, I quite like this mold. The robot mode is very nice. My minor quibbles aside from small things notwithstanding, I think that this is a pretty decent approximation. If you do try to swivel his hands, though, his null rays do pop off onto his sides rather than being an independent swivel part here. You would just need a secondary joint here. Or it would just be a sliding cylinder and these would just be clipped in. But these are all kind of standard things that are problems with Seeker molds. I don't see the stress marks here that a lot of people have been seeing. I like him. I think that he's very nice. There's a lot more interest in Thundercracker as a character now, given his increased role in the Skybound Energon Universe comics. Man, when was the last time we got a, kind of quote-unquote hero Thundercracker mold? I mean, he was used... Thundercracker was used... He got a mold in War for Cybertron Siege as a Tetrajet. He got a Earthrise mold as a jet. And now this. So robot mode is pretty standard. I like it. Let's give him a transformation. Okay, some minor quality control issues here. I don't feel like I put too much stress on that. All right, so here is Thundercracker in his jet mode. A little bit of a finickiness with the leg transformation. That's probably just me. Jet mode is really quite nice. It's very sleek. It looks like it should according to his animation model. There's a huge blank space here. That's a little bit of a problem. But I don't think that it's really going to... I'm not going to give it any more demerits than I already have in my head for that. His feet just kind of fold, which is fine. It's in line with the original toy. It's not a great jet. I mean, it looks like it should. It has the right silhouette. It's sleek. It's smooth. It looks like it did in the movie. It's really all we're looking for, and that's really all that we are getting. His canopy does not appear to open. It is pretty good. It's 90% there. It looks nice. A whole fleet of these, as I'm sure we're going to get, for Thundercracker, Skywarp, Starscream, Dirge, Ramjet, Thrust, the Rainmakers. I mean, the possibilities are limitless for this particular mold. All told, I think it's very nice. I'm fairly impressed with the transformation in how tight it makes the top. Bottom is a bit of an issue, but I mean, how often are you going to be looking at the bottom of this particular toy? I don't like the fact that his arm guns have all this negative space on the side that is going to be facing up when he's in his jet mode, but that's a minor quibble. I like him. I think it's a pretty nice mold, all things considered. Transformation is very nice, very easy, apart from my own stupidity in figuring out his leg transformation. I guess I was just used to too many Combiner Wars figures, because his legs transform in very similar ways. Yeah, I mean, I think the only demerit I'll give it is just this huge open piece here, which is fine because his head is at least facing upwards, so you don't see his face facing down. But yeah, I think that's really the only thing that I would say looks inadequate about this. All told, it's a very nice figure. I'm looking forward to what they do with Starscream and Skywarp. I will be looking into repro labels to get Autobot labels for him, because this is very much a very nice Seeker mold in line with Thundercracker's appearance in the Energon universe. Fairly impressed with it. I mean, it's a very nice figure. Speaking as a person that really does not have a huge affection for the G1 Seeker mold, but this is really nice. So here we are at the end, and I will say that I'm impressed with this figure. I like the articulation. I like the engineering of it. I've got some middling problems with it, just in terms of proportions and quality control. Mainly because every single joint on Thundercracker that is not affixed with a pin or a screw is just a push. And not only does that mean that as I'm transforming him, parts are just flying off, but that means that the tension in those joints is eventually going to wear down, and he's going to become very floppy in those particular areas. I don't think it's an issue right now. I don't think that this particular Thundercracker figure is going to replace the other Thundercracker figures that I own. I don't think it's going to replace Classics. I don't think it's going to replace Titan's Return or Combiner Wars. There was a Voyager class or a Leader class Thundercracker, or one of those lines that I think I have kicking around here someplace. And I also really like the Tetrajet design and the Earthrise design. I can see why they wanted to make this figure the way that they did, just to make him go more in line with the rest of Studio Series 86, both in terms of overall look, presentation, as well as scale. I see why they did it. I think that it's a nice figure. I think it's a really nice movie Thundercracker, but it's probably not going to be the Thundercracker that I go to when I want to transform and play around with a Thundercracker figure. Quality control, really, it's really just the quality control. I don't like the fact that this was coming apart as I transformed it in either mode. And yes, I realize that's why those hinges are there, because if you put too much pressure, they're going to just pop off rather than break. So I kind of appreciate that, but I kind of wish that the articulation and the engineering was such that I didn't need to worry about that at all. Plastic also is a little bit more flimsy than either the Siege or Earthrise toys, so I mean, that just may be a sign of the times. But I like him. Glad I picked him up. Is he worth the cost? Not entirely certain about that. The overall cost of the figure is in the eye of the beholder. So, thank you very much for joining me today on The Shelves Have Eyes for this impromptu unboxing of a new figure that is still making the rounds at Walmart and Target. So I would say that if you see him and he is not full price, pick him up. For full price, yeah, it depends on how much you like the character, really. But I like this mold. I'd like to see what else they can do with it. I'd like some minor retooling of some of the issues that I have with it. But for the most part, I think it's a very impressive and handsome looking design. And so, I mean, I'm glad I picked it up. So I hope you enjoyed watching me transform this and futzing about and having problems, just as much as I enjoyed transforming it, futzing about and having problems. If you did like this content, please like the video and subscribe to the channel so you'll know when the next video comes out. For The Shelves Have Eyes, I've been Phantom. Have a good day, y'all.